Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right, and you still go with it, then that is on you. It's on you, it's on you, it's on you.
What's going on, you guys? This is Rami Sugar and Sam Hay, and you are watching and listening to the Mindset Rebooted podcast.
And if you are a first-time listener, thank you so much for stopping by. Here on the Mindset Rebooted podcast, we like to have conversations that help us to elevate the way we think.
And if you get any value from today's episode, please share it with one other person so we can help more people.
And today we are going to be talking about and asking each and every one of us a very important question, which is it worth the stress?
That was not as impactful as I thought you were gonna hit that hard line. He leveled it up and then it was like so soft. Come on. But yes, the question is it worth the stress? Because of the holidays, I know a lot of people are working mad hours for retail, entertainment production. If you're in the events world, this is it is prime time, go time for everyone. So I definitely am really interested to talk about stress management.
And I think it's very important to understand that not all stress is bad stress. Some stress is actually good stress that can help us perform at a higher level. But the key to remember is that you should not have to be sustaining a high level of stress for a long period of time. That is very unhealthy. So perfect example for me, I worked in the construction industry for about 2 years, right? This was after I had joined the Navy. And it was a very high stress position for me. I was in operations, I was a field engineer, and so I had a lot of scopes of responsibility. A lot of times I felt like we were short-staffed. I was working many hours. It wasn't your standard 9 to 5. I mean, I was working oftentimes from like 5 in the morning. I wouldn't even get home sometimes till like 8 at night. I had tons of inspections, a lot of quality control, a whole bunch of work that I need to get done and running throughout the building, and it was just pretty stressful, right? And so I found myself coping with this stress in ways that are unhealthy and not very normal for me to cope with the stress. So I found myself drinking, and I found myself drinking like every single day. I couldn't go without having multiple glasses of wine. There were even days where I've even finished whole bottles of wine, and I recognized that not only was I always tired, I had lack of sleep. I felt like I had certain strains on certain relationships that I had with other people, or I just felt like very distant. Like I just wanted to kind of like just do my own thing, right? And these were just some of the things that happened because I was also taking work, like literally taking work home with me. I mean, my work laptop would be open. I'd be doing things, putting in inspections. I was just super stressed out, and it wasn't healthy. And I had to ask myself, is this worth the stress? And what I found was that it wasn't. But how did I come to that conclusion? Well, the way I came to that conclusion was I had to evaluate my life's purpose in the grand scheme of things. Where did this actually fit in the puzzle of my life? And I recognized that it wasn't like this was my life's passion. It was just a means to an end. And to the extent that it was providing that was cool, but for it to take away my mental health or even make me do things that were just not in line with my values or my character, that meant it was a no-no for me. And so it wasn't really worth the stress.
When you say a means to an end, what is the end that you're discussing?
So for me, I like to invest, right? I like to have money to be able to make more money, make my money work for me. And also because my goal is to be able to retire my parents, my wife's parents, and also to be able to leave some type of legacy for my children. Those are the different things that run through my mind. So that was the means to the end for me.
It almost sounds like, yeah, this is how we get money, but it's not necessarily the only way I could get money to take care of family, to take care of your wife's family and investments. Is that fair?
Exactly, it's very fair.
Yeah.
And that was literally what I had to come to. And the thing that's very key to note is that when you're caught up in whatever world you're in, like where it's very stressful.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to see outside of that world.
Yeah.
When you're in it, sometimes you're not thinking about, oh man, this is not the only way to get it, because right now it's just consuming you. So you're not even thinking about beyond whatever box you're in. You're just thinking about like, oh man, how do I make it to Friday? And the point of this conversation is to make you see beyond that box, to not limit yourself in that way. Is this really the only way that you can make the money, like in my example, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I want to get to some other examples too of, the stress thing, because I feel that a lot of us get that tunnel vision that you're speaking about when we get stressed out. In the retail world, I got stressed out a lot because I was like, oh man, I only have say 6 or 7 hours to get XYZ done. And I was like, I can't do it all. And I was just so focused and so stressed out about fitting everything in those 7 hours that I forgot that, hey, I could ask, hey, can I do another hour of work? To achieve more. That's an example of being so stressed out that you're like, wait a minute, I can just think outside of the box. Can I get more time? I'm still within whatever hour capacity that we have if you're working hourly. And that helped us out a lot. Another thing is also in those moments in retail and production and entertainment, it's like, what are the minimum needs that we need to operate, right? Because a lot of times corporate or on paper, they want to be fancy, they want to look cool. Can we achieve that realistically with the timelines that we have? If not, what are the minimum requirements for us to be able to achieve our goal? If you're in retail, the goal is to just sell more product and to have staff available to sell product. So what are the minimum needs for that? If you're in entertainment, what are the minimum needs to have something as a show, a production, and to have an event? We don't need to get fancy because I feel that every time things get more fancy, there's more layers on it, and that adds more stress. So we just look at minimum needs. Let's operationally make sure that we're good. Big head, corporate, whatever, they can't say nothing because we met the minimum needs and we met our goal.
That's a really, really great point. And I think that the other thing that's key to note in all of that is when you get yourself to that point of being really, really stressed and you say to yourself, like, you know what, maybe I can work the other hour to kind of break this down, so I'm not, what you're doing is you're doing some stress management right there. And that's something that is something that we all should be doing. How can we find ways to take this big chunk and break it into smaller parts? And then the other thing is you have to be willing to communicate with not just yourself but others, right? Like I can't just be saying, oh man, I'm just so stressed and just bottling it in. If I don't tell Rami like, hey yo bro, I'm stressed, I need help with this, how can I really expect for that stress to just go away? Really, if I'm just the only person dealing with it, then that means I'm the only one left to solve the problem, and I'm too stressed to even solve the problem. I need outside help. So Rami, like, can you help me? Like, what are some other ways that we can go about this? Hey, can we get more personnel or something like this to help me tag team this because this is too much for me? Now I just communicated it, because here's the thing. When you are handling something, even though you may be stressed, to other people, they may not be able to recognize.
No, they're like, oh, you're just operating normal. You're cool, you could handle this. This is what you do.
Exactly.
Right? Especially if you're in a position of leadership or even in a family. If you're the eldest in your family siblings and you gather for Thanksgiving or Christmas upcoming, they're probably used to you handling everything, right? Like if you're hosting everyone to come out, everyone expects the food ready and all that. But what if there are constraints with you? My sisters-in-laws, they had that moment where someone was in charge of turkey, someone was in charge of hosting, someone was in charge of desserts, and it just made things easier for them because during the holidays, we all feel a lot of stress. So let's find a way to mitigate or manage our stress and share team effort towards our goal.
Many hands make light work. That's how the saying goes. Many hands make light work. That is something that will help you in terms of managing your stress. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We ask that you share this with one person so that they can also learn how to manage their stress. Mindset Rebooted.
Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right, and you still go with it, then that is on you.